Hello, everyone. Your favorite comm major, Jim, is here. And I just wanted to talk to you about Anchor.fm. It is super easy to set up a podcast and get it out to all those amazing podcast platforms your friends use. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, distributing your podcast. Best of all, it's 100% free and ridiculously easy to use. And now, Anchor can match you with great sponsors who want to advertise on your podcast. That means you can get paid to podcast right away. In fact, that's what I'm doing right now by reading you this ad. And I'm also a member. So honestly, it's super easy, even for the comm majors. You know, we did not do enough work in college, but it's super easy to upload your episode, get it out there to all those services. So if you want to start a podcast, go to anchor.fm/start and you can, check it out right there. That's anchor.fm/start. I can't wait to hear your podcast.
Hello and welcome to Comm Majors. I'm Brian Costello.
I'm Jim DeSanto.
And I am Marshall DeSanto. No?
You're not a federal agent. No.
And actually, that's a crime to try to impersonate a federal officer.
I am not actually a federal marshal.
We just got a red warning on the Facebook screen.
Can I still be Major?
It says,
Major DeSanto?
However, that is not illegal. However, the joke was terrible. So please move past it.
I didn't know that Facebook was filtering for that now, too.
Yeah, humor.
It doesn't filter for political content. It just filters for our podcast.
Quality of humor?
Russian bots.
So today we are looking at the Harrison Ford and Tommy Lee Jones thriller, The Fugitive. But first, as always, we answer the most pressing question of every episode. What are we drinking this episode? What does everybody have in store for us?
I have a new to me bourbon, which I think is actually new this year from Larceny. It is their barrel proof. And it's pretty awesome.
Is this what you were drinking the other night that was so yummy?
Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah, it's very smelly.
It's on the sweeter side. It's a wheated bourbon.
Yeah.
So less rye, more wheat.
It smells like sugary goodness.
It's very vanilla.
Katie's drinking a Sauvignon Blanc. Ooh, and apparently I shattered my glass. That's
dangerous. Is dangerous
business. We're going to have to put it into the big shot glass.
Okay.
Luckily, we have backup vessels.
It could be because you're just smacking it on the other glass.
Were you trying
she was
to
let me pour this in there. Cheers.
Let me reenact the murder sequence of Dr. Richard Kimball's wife.
I don't like it.
Okay, and I am drinking Great South Bay Therapy Session IPA.
Very nice. It's very, that feels very European.
Yeah, it feels very
flags.
And this comes courtesy of the Great South Bay Brewing in New York on Long Island. And it was a gift from Mr. Craig Goldberg. So I thank him for that. All right, fact check. When we were last with you, we discussed the Spike Lee Netflix film, The Five Bloods. We, like most regular people who watch the film, were not overly thrilled with it.
Fans
Try
did
to
not
soften the
like
edges here a little bit. Since that time, I just have to say I have been shocked at some of the commentary that I have seen written about it, including a campaign being started to nominate the film and its actors for Oscars.
No.
For their performance.
No, I could see Delroy Lindo getting a nomination for his role in that. I mean,
that's so hard though to nominate an actor within a film that isn't good.
That one piece that
it's very good. That one piece is very good.
Compelling.
That one piece is very good.
Listen, I love Delroy Lindo, and I'd love to see him win an Oscar. I just don't. This would turn into like those to me an example of when actors who deserve Oscars get them for performances that don't deserve Oscars.
I don't know. Critics love this movie, so I don't know what.
Are there two versions? Did we maybe see the unedited version?
I was at a loss when I doubled back and I started reading some reviews and commentary on the film, and people were going on how it was a stunning portrayal of American imperialism and how it was the exact film about race relations in America we need now. And I wondered if they were watching a different film.
Yeah, did they actually watch the whole thing? It could have been. It could have been all of that.
Maybe I would have written that before I watched the film.
Yep.
Because everything about it. And then they put, again, a bad Cinemax 1 a.m. action gold heist
it's such a shame because even we're watching the trailer play through right now, just the visuals of it. And the trailer looks awesome. Like, we watched this trailer and we're so excited for this movie. It looks amazing. And then
yeah.
Now,
okay.
let me be very clear, though, just finally comment about this. If this film were to win awards in the Oscars, I won't complain about it because of all the crap that has won Oscars in the past.
Yes.
Does Spike Lee deserve an Oscar for something? Sure he does. Does Delroy Lindo? Sure. Do a lot of these other actors we like?
Yes.
There have been way worse examples of people winning stuff for stuff that wasn't good. They probably should have won Oscars for other movies.
This is true.
Spike Lee probably should have won an Oscar for Do the Right Thing, and he didn't. So if he gets it for this movie, be it.
And I'm willing to say, like, maybe I didn't get it.
Yep.
And revisit it at some point in the future. There's definitely,
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see.
I will never revisit it.
No,
but
probably
if it wins
not.
something, more power to it.
I don't feel like I need to.
Right behind my shoulder, the
Vince
official
Vince Flynn is right behind your shoulder. You're cutting out on us. Hold on a second.
Oh,
give it a minute to catch up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now try.
Do you hear me now?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Can
Okay,
you hear
good.
me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Was today announced as the New York Times best-selling book, coming in at number 2 on the bestseller list.
That's amazing. Well done.
So we're
Well
thrilled.
done.
Yeah, that's
Mitrap.
awesome.
I'd like to thank
Kyle Mills.
people who were able to come to the Kyle Mills Mitrap event of last week. We had a great turnout for it.
Excellent.
And if you're still interested, you can find it online.
That's wonderful.
So
Well done. Well done. Add it to your resume.
And of course, in some special Comm-Agers Pop Addled news, Jim and Katie made a special appearance somewhere. Why don't you tell us what you guys have been up to?
So we went to check out Appetites on Main in Exton.
Which is the restaurant where Timmy serves and bartends.
You can go and see one of the hosts from Pop Addled in real life. He will sign your check for you, autograph it. If you want him to. If you want his autograph.
Okay.
You know, I mean, you have to sign the check too. But he would also sign it. You could keep it as a souvenir. Great food.
You could potentially just see Keenan sitting there.
You might get both Pop Addled hosts.
Questionable. They have a great outdoor area.
It's fantastic.
So
and the food was excellent.
The food was great. Get there.
What did you guys get? Heard a lot of great stuff about the food.
I got crab nachos.
They were called the Chesapeake nachos.
Chesapeake nachos. They were so good.
Day
there
I
was
would eat that.
so much crab on there.
Oh,
it was
my
a
God,
lot
that
of
sounds
delicious
heavenly.
crab.
Basically a whole avocado.
And a whole avocado.
What?
Very fresh. It all felt very fresh.
Would that box and travel well?
No,
I don't.
Across state lines.
I don't think we want to travel with
states.
cooked crab. I feel like that's not a good plan. But you could come and
Probably.
visit when the
Probably a good
pandemic's
point.
over.
Yes.
The kids had fried pickles. They loved.
Okay, another plus
They
right
love
there.
fried
All day
pickles.
fried pickles.
corn dogs.
Oh my God!
That's what the girls got corn dogs. They had like 10 choices for their kids meal, which is if you're a
That's a lot of
parent,
choices.
Nine more than
if
a lot
you're a
of
parent
restaurants.
and you're getting more than chicken fingers and a burger
Or grilled cheese.
or grilled cheese in the kids section,
It's a good place.
That's a win.
Good
Yeah.
place.
and I
Jim,
had
what did you have?
I had I think it's called their ultimate burger.
Ooh.
I kind of forget what is on it, but it was very good. It was, typical burger, but it was fresh, really, really good burger.
It was an excellent
Amazing.
experience. The kids, Lily was ready to write a Yelp review about it. She thought it was
love
the
it.
best restaurant she had ever been to. And another quick plug, we went there because we had just gone to Treehouse World, which for other parents.
What is that?
It is the best place you've never been to. It is a wooded area, a forest that they have turned into a kids and adults playground with zip lines. There are pirate ships in the trees that you can walk the plank and rappel out of. You can climb trees with handholds and harnesses, just like monkey crawl all the way up to the top. You can there's a Ninja Warrior course with zip lines and balance beams and cargo nets. And oh my gosh, they had the time of their lives. Oh, there's a giant trampoline with like bungees where they can go like 2 stories in the air and flip.
Yeah, Eva was doing backflips.
I mean,
too much.
Amazing.
It's too much fun in one day.
Pirate ships and trees.
I love it.
You gotta go.
I can't wait. I will definitely be going to Appetites of Maine. I hear they have a fantastic selection of hot dogs as well.
They did have a whole hot dog
We
section.
only had the ones that were wrapped in cornmeal.
Yes.
Cornbread. Yep.
Okay, well, that doesn't sound bad either.
No.
All right, it is time for the rundown.
Dr. Richard Kimball was living the dream. Wealthy, handsome, surgeon, married to Celia Ward, until it turned into his worst nightmare. In what seemed to be the blink of an eye, he was convicted of a horrendous crime that he did not commit. When a twist of fate rendered him a fugitive of justice, he set his sights on one task: finding the one-armed murderer who took his wife from him before being sent back to prison. That's it.
I like it.
That's it.
No.
Right there. It's there.
That's the rundown.
1993 is the year. And I just wanted to give you a little context. When I was researching this, a sneaky, pretty awesome movie year. Can I indulge us here quickly before we go into a discussion on the film?
Yeah.
This is the top 10 box office films from 1993. Number one, a little film that Jim loves more than any film known to man, and Jimmy Costanzo wears a jacket of this film proudly to this day. Jurassic Park, number one box office. The number two box office film of 1993 is this film.
Okay.
The Fugitive, number two in the box office. Number three, amazing Tom Cruise film, The Firm. Number four, Sleepless in Seattle, which is for romantic comedies, a good movie. You know, it's up there.
I loved Sleepless in Seattle.
Number five, Mrs. Doubtfire, which is fun. Six, a not so good film, Indecent Proposal.
Sharon
Memorable.
Skirt under
Number
the
it's not Sharon.
I
No,
always
that's
confuse these
that's
two
Basic
movies.
Instinct. Number
Kirk
seven,
Douglas?
no.
Michael Douglas.
that's Basic
Still the other
Instinct.
one.
Actually, I
Demi
think
Moore.
Douglas. Yes, Demi
No,
Moore.
it's Demi Moore, Robert Redford, Woody Harrelson.
Got it.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Number seven, In the Line of Fire.
Oh, I like that.
Clint
one too.
Eastwood, John Malkovich.
Yep.
Mhm.
Number eight, Aladdin.
Okay.
In number nine, batshit crazy Sylvester Stallone Cliffhanger. And number 10, a favorite of Comm Majors, A Few Good Men.
Mm-hmm.
That's the top 10. And you throw in other movies we've done on Comm Majors. Groundhog Day was number 12. Cool Runnings came out.
Oh, I love Cool Runnings. I remember seeing that in the theater.
Dave, which is an amazing film. Demolition Man, Scent of a Woman. And also, I know one of Jim's favorite movies, Rookie of the Year.
That's not one of my favorite movies.
1993. There
It
you
is,
go.
but no, I do not like all baseball films.
Okay, so let's talk The Fugitive. When was the last time you saw it, and what were your memories of it prior to this viewing?
I couldn't even tell you the last time I saw it. It was probably around 1994 when it came out on video. I probably saw it. And then maybe one time in between. I don't know. It was probably on TV at some point. And I remember liking it. I remember it being a good movie, like just a pretty good standard.
Solid, yeah.
Yeah. And we joked, like, Brian, I will always remember that line. The line, for as quotable as this movie is, I don't quote it ever. There's a lot of funny quips and things in this movie, but the line when they're in the dam and he says, "I didn't kill my wife," and he says, "I don't care." But and then the other one is, "Richard, do you want to? Don't make me shoot you." That's what he says, right? Don't make me shoot you.
Yeah, similar. I think I definitely saw this movie in 93, 94. Maybe saw it one more time after that, and then I don't think I've seen it since. And yeah, I didn't have a clear memory of the film. I think I knew it was Harrison Ford and Tommy Lee Jones, but that it was a fugitive. That's about all I remembered.
So this film had been on my radar for a while for us to do, just because I remember how big it was when it came out. Like we said, number 2 movie. I remember going to the theater to see it. I remember them making a huge deal over the spectacle that is the train crash. There was a lot of discussion about that train crash at the time and what went into it and being on TV and the trailer. Tommy Lee Jones wins the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor in the film. But then it was one of these films, like some of the other ones we've talked about a little bit over the last year or so. Maybe Few Good Men's another example, which was awesome. I loved it, but it's just kind of disappeared into the background for a while. So right before COVID hit, I was on the treadmill, and it's turned into one of those movies that's on like TNT or TBS all the time. And I saw it and I said, I kind of want to revisit this. And where is it? Is it on any streaming site? And for a long time it wasn't. And then it popped up on HBO Max. And I have to say, I was pleasantly surprised. I'm not going to say this is an earth-shattering, amazing film that was put on, but I think it falls into one of these spots of films that we talk about occasionally. I don't think they necessarily make this type of film anymore. And I think it's a classic example of just a good popcorn, thing that you would have gone to the movie theater for in the past to watch.
Yeah, it's funny.
I like it for that.
I was thinking while watching it that like it came out before we had as many like procedural TV dramas.
Agreed.
Which have a lot more time to kind of play with like the like hunt and the investigation of a crime. And so this was, I think maybe it loses a little steam, like it, because we've been inundated with that for the past, since the first CSI or whatever it was that came out. I don't know. I think it's a fine movie. It's nothing earth shattering. It's funny. And this will come up in 5 questions, but I just don't really care for Harrison Ford in this movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't like him.
He comes not off as a little bit of a jerk, right?
He does, but that's Harrison Ford. That's not the character.
Yeah, you're right. You bring your feelings about him into the character.
Right.
Yeah, that's interesting. Because I think you really like Celia Ward. Like the little bits you see of her, she seems very warm and engaging.
Yeah, but if like halfway through this movie you found out he really did it, you'd be like, oh yeah.
Yeah, I saw that coming. That's a good call. He's not really a warm and fuzzy kind of guy. No,
and that's the problem with this movie. Even though it's not bad, I think you should have just been following Tommy Lee way more and had him putting it together.
I could see that. That's something I want to talk about later in terms of how much more of Tommy Lee you could have seen.
Yeah.
The interesting thing about Ford's performance is I do think it ties into the idea of, my question is this was based on a TV show that was episodic and on a much longer period of time. If he is a truly lovable, beloved figure, are you able to sell that a jury would think he killed his wife, which is the core premise of that, right? Like they kind of go through that pretty quickly, right? The wife dies. He says,
you don't really get any of the details,
but do you know what I mean? But he's found guilty. So I'm willing to throw some of that to the side. I like Harrison Ford. so I'm okay with it. But to me, this is an example of what we were getting in the late 80s to early mid 90s, where this is clearly a starring vehicle that's just being played around Harrison Ford, in the mindset that people are going to go see Harrison Ford. And in essence, I think he's being Harrison Ford. Well, and we've had some discussions about this before with like Tom Cruise or like Michael B. Jordan. You know, are we going to see the characters they're playing, or do they just kind of embody those characters? To be clear, I think Michael B. Jordan and Tom Cruise do a little bit better of a job.
They do much better
in their roles. But I mean, I think people are going to see this because it's Harrison Ford and he is the movie star, which they used to do back then, maybe more so than they do now.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're being asked to stretch our understanding of him at all. I think that the character they've created for him is kind of jerky, right? Like he's driven. He has professional relationships, but really like the person he's closest to is his wife, and they have a good relationship. But I don't know if you really, it seems like people respect him. People think he's good at what he does.
Yeah, you really only have that one scene at the party to really judge all that.
And so I don't know if you're really supposed to get much connection to him. I think you do end up rooting for him. I think, you know, especially when they start threading through his memories of the evening, which I have to say, like, you know, for 93, I felt like the cinematography was really good, except for a few bad shots with the stunt doubles. I felt like it kept you very much, you know, on the edge of your seat, you know, trying to figure out what actually happened. And the way that they spliced in his memories of the evening and how that shifted with time, like that he didn't remember everything at the beginning and it would come to him in little clips. I don't know. I thought that was done really well. I liked the pace of the story. I thought it was well done.
The problem with that is that they showed things that he couldn't have remembered because he wasn't in the room.
Oh,
which was
true.
Really weird. It's weird in retrospect.
Yeah,
but
so
like,
they were. It was
I
like,
get it.
Were they showing? Yeah, were they showing that from his perspective though, or were they trying to show it? Jim, I know you're not always a fan of when they show us.
No, but
they
made it seem
they're doing both, but they're doing
most of the times when they went back to that night, they made it seem like he was thinking.
Yeah.
And so, like,
that's fair.
It's not confusing. Yes. It's just like what it is.
Yeah, you're seeing her. With the
do you know what? The interesting thing about this movie is that I think so much of the choices that are made of it is in essence for like a one viewing film. Like this was clearly made to target the widest possible audience as possible.
Yeah.
I mean, there is a thriller. It is kind of a whodunit, but this is not one of those like really intricate
right
thrillers. You know, it's more of I think your point of a procedural is right, Jim. And that's why I was thinking back then, you know, there probably weren't what we think of today with CSI and all these NCISs and all these other things that inundate TV. So the idea of having like a whodunit thriller, the novelty of that was maybe more broad for a general audience than it is today, where we get that on TV so much.
That's true. But I thought, as somebody who really enjoyed those kinds of stories for a period of my life, I thought they did a good job of showing the way his brain would think, like the things that he would notice, you know, that he would go from the hospital angle, finding, you know, center for prosthetic or searching for the people that would have that specific kind of prosthetic. And then the hinge, you know, like that all made sense to me. Like that's what his brain would pick up.
Yeah.
And then watching the way that Tommy Lee Jones approached it and, you know, the way that he would proceed in the investigation. I thought that was all really well done.
Yep. Yeah, and the group of marshals was great. You know, you get just enough of those characters for it to be funny and kind of serious, and you kind of get, you know, they're all in support of trying to figure out who Tommy Lee is as a character, but you know, they're not fully formed individuals, but they serve their purpose, I guess, in an interesting way.
I wanted to circle back to your comment about the Richard Kimball character. There's a moment where I think as an audience, your feelings toward him shift, and it's It's in the van when they're leaving the court. Are they leaving the courthouse? All the prisoners are being transported, right?
Yeah.
And then they try, the prisoners try to take over the van. They end up in this, action-packed scene of the van gets hit by a train. They're rolling down the mountain. All of these things happen. But you see that Richard Kimball makes a choice to try to save the prison guard.
And he does save
the prison guard. And that's his first instinct instead of getting out, taking care of himself. And so I think that's the moment where the audience kind of sees, yes, he's a doctor, and that's,
But there's
his
a
training.
Heroic aspect
absolutely,
to him. Yes.
There's a part of him that just genuinely cares. For other humans.
Well,
and then with the kid at the hospital, when he takes care of the kid in the stretcher.
He was, listen, I
scenes.
think this is one of those things. I like Harrison Ford. And if you like Harrison Ford, and a lot of people, at that time period in particular, he was one of the go-to box office stars. I think you're going to like this. What's interesting to me is I was thinking about this and then going back and looking at the movies leading up to this. For people our age, in many respects, this was our first introduction to Harrison Ford in one of his non-big franchise films. The adult, this is a PG-13 movie, but if you look at a lot of what Harrison Ford was doing post Indiana Jones and Star Wars, which we would have, as kids, would have known him, his films consist of Witness, which we probably watched, but maybe shouldn't have been watching. Mosquito Coast, which kids weren't watching, Frantic, kids weren't watching, Working Girl, which is a great movie with Melanie Griffith and Sigourney, but again, kids weren't watching, Presumed Innocent, a hard R courtroom thriller, and Regarding Henry, which was so for us, I think he was Han Solo and Indiana Jones, and this is another movie we could see him in. So I think that that was interesting. Unless you were a Jack Ryan fan, which I read Tom Clancy, so I was excited when he did Patriot Games. But for a lot of people our age, so if you were in your late 30s now or your 40s, this was the big popcorn. I'm going to go see Harrison Ford in a movie. There's Indiana Jones, Han Solo. So I think that I remember being excited to see Harrison Ford in a movie because obviously he played, for somebody our age, probably two of the most iconic film characters of our childhood. So to be able to go see him in a movie was interesting to me. Oh
yeah, this movie had to have done well in the box office, right? Can we get some numbers? Yeah, absolutely.
It was number 2, and it was just a tad under 200. It was August. It came out in August. So summer movie into fall. And this is back when movies played for a long time.
I think it still holds up. I think it's still good.
So let me give you a couple of thoughts when we posted this on social media. First of all, a big love fest for this movie from pretty much everybody who had seen it. But a few things that I found interesting as people were discussing it, and I kind of agreed. One of the things that makes maybe us enjoy it, and my question is, does it transcend to younger viewers? As somebody pointed out today in our chat, before this movie, is the problem with a thriller like this today is, does it work with modern technology? And it doesn't. And, for us, having grown up in that time period where there were no cell phones and we didn't have all the technology we have today, for us, it's very simple to watch that. Does a younger viewer, are they going to relate to that? Is that going to be interesting to them? Or is that going to seem kind of ridiculous?
I don't know.
Does this movie carry enough? To me, I still love occasionally the payphones, right? And, the fact that there's not cameras everywhere, the idea that they take, all these things that he is doing. But I think and I don't think that's a critique. I don't think you can go back and critique a film in that respect, I
think it still works.
But to me, it worked. But my question is, for younger viewers, or is Jim right, with so many procedurals now and it's focused on the technology, is this going to seem out of date? Like some of the things we talk about is this going to turn into like an older Hitchcock thriller or something like that, where there is only people who are going to love film that are going to be drawn to it because people are going to different things.
It's a good story.
No, I'll tell you.
It's not like movie makers just proving that they can do something cool, I think those are the movies that die.
It's an okay story at best.
All right.
Like when you that's my point with the procedurals, is that this is not going to seem interesting in the least, because it's like, oh yeah, then he figures out this and he does that and he does that, and now we know who did it. Like, there's nothing, it's not like a twisty turny kind of figuring it out. Because
I don't know. I thought
maybe
that it was like complex enough. I don't think that this is a storyline that you've seen done over and over again. I think the notion, certainly we have many stories of somebody being accused of a crime they didn't commit.
Right.
Of it being your spouse, of there being a plot against you, right? Like, so this was somebody purposely
set up.
Right. So that makes it very different. It's not just the wrong person was accused of the crime. I think that that's a really interesting story. And, would anybody besides Richard Kimball be able to get themselves out of this? Absolutely not. Right? Like, that person would have just gone to jail. And
Wesley Snipes does it in the next movie.
which is to discuss. I find interesting because Tommy Lee Jones is great in this movie.
Yeah.
I mean, fantastic. The other marshals are great in this movie. But I think this film is also a cautionary tale of what happens at times when secondary characters or supporting characters are then given their own vehicles. Because U.S. Marshals, which was the spinoff of this with Tommy Lee Jones, is a bad movie. With
Wesley Snipes as the wrongly convicted again,
wrongly accused, and Robert Downey Jr. is in it.
It's dumb. You can't hold that.
No,
against
I'm not. I was just making.
No, we're just using
it
as a point. I actually think it's interesting. Like, that's a jumping off point. Like, what happens when you get these characters? Like, I think the balance of this film really works because there's always just enough. They're giving us enough of both characters.
Yeah.
Like, this film does not work with Richard Kimball without Gerard chasing him. Yeah. Like, that balance and that dynamic had to be perfect, because I'm not sure either character on their own is enough to carry the film. But the balance that Andrew Davis, the director, got in terms of the editing process, I think is almost spot on in terms of how he did it.
Yeah, to me, the stuff that stands up in this movie that I really like and I think is unique to it is sort of like how he's conducting the manhunt. I think those moments where he's telling people what to do and why is something you don't see in those procedurals, right? Like, you see people following clues and clues and clues until there's like a confrontation, but this wasn't like about Tommy Lee's not trying to solve anything. Kimball's trying to solve the crime.
Yeah.
Tommy Lee's just trying to catch him.
And that's his job.
Right. And I thought that was interesting. Like, the setting up the perimeters, check every outhouse, whatever.
In-house, doghouse.
Doghouse, yeah. It's
no, go ahead. Sorry.
And then, when they see him at the hospital, and then, they're up on the roof trying to give Tommy Lee directions on which way he was running through the whatever the plaza. Yeah, I like those parts.
I was thinking as I watched this, and then I was kind of looking at Harrison Ford's film. This, in terms of his box office clout, this is his 8th highest grossing film. Every other one in his top 10 is a franchise film. Mm-hmm. And then I started to think that back a couple weeks ago, we were talking about Tom Cruise and, Jim saying, we want I'd like to see Tom Cruise do something other than a Mission Impossible movie and things like this. Do you feel we've moved, unfortunately, away from the big marquee stars from doing non-franchise? I was just trying to think. It seems like everything's a franchise now. And the idea of coming out with something that's even a spinoff of a TV show and doing it as a one-off, which by and large this was, because Harrison Ford doesn't come back. There was really, I don't think, any hope that this was going to turn into a franchise. are we just not going to get that anymore? Is everything have to? It seems like Christopher Nolan's one of the few directors that's doing wholly from a big blockbuster perspective that doesn't have some kind of connected universe or franchise.
I think the question is really about where the money is going and what kind of actors are doing what kind of films. Because yes, those movies still exist. Are they getting the kind of funding that your Marvel Universe movies and your franchise films are getting? No, they're not. They're not getting that kind of financial backing. And you have certain actors that I don't think are taking those risks. I think you've got, only a certain kind of actor is going to go to a more independent film, and
But interesting though. This was a big budget film. Even like films like this, which were no-brain greenlit films, right? Like, let's get Harrison Ford, Tommy Lee Jones, and we're going to do a one-off film here. Now, granted, it's based on a TV show or whatever, and let's do it. I feel like that's not even happening. Not even big, every big budget film that's being churned out now has to have the potential, or it has to have an actor signed to a 3-picture deal associated. And that's kind of annoying to me. I do like the fact that this was a blockbuster, kind of one-off, interesting.
I don't know. Harrison Ford was just in The Call of the Wild. Just one and done. It probably wasn't big.
Yeah, but he's not Harrison. I mean, he's not 1993 Harrison Ford anymore.
No, and that was not a very successful film.
I thought it looked clear. I thought the CGI looked terrible in the trailer.
Yeah. Well, sometimes I feel like it's bad in the trailer, but then by the time you see the final product, it's cleaned up. Yeah, I don't know, Brian.
Yeah, to me, it's not. Yeah, it's just Hollywood trying to maximize profits. So that's how that works.
Probably not going to happen anytime soon. We'll get 10. That again. Yeah, they're going to space in the next Fast and the Furious, by the way. Not real space like
Mission
Tom Cruise.
Impossible 99.
Speaking of Mission Impossible, which had a better crazy train sequence in your mind? The Fugitive or Mission Impossible, the original?
The Fugitive.
You like
I don't like the idea of the helicopter near the train in Mission Impossible. I just think that's stupid.
Indiana Jones.
Oh, I
love the train scene.
That's a good one. I don't love the train scene in Mission Impossible. I don't
know how much I would call this a true. Is it really like a train scene?
No, it's just a crash.
It's a van
scene. It's
an
action set piece. By the way,
but you've got those like crazy train chases,
Oh yeah.
I'm not saying.
I love the part in Mission Impossible while they're on the train. Like what's happening and like the who's who.
You just don't love it once they get on top of the train.
Yeah. I don't mind them on top of the train. Like literally driving the helicopter through the tunnel is fucking stupid.
It's a little crazy. I will.
And the rest of the movie doesn't go. The rest of the movie is such a tighter, like, explain why, like, right. The White Room is crazy, but it makes sense. And how they're protecting the knock list and all that stuff.
Yeah, all that stuff. Yeah.
But like for a guy to like be piloting a helicopter to decide to follow a train into a tunnel.
Yeah, no.
Well, remember he was clipped onto it.
Yeah, no.
Right. I forgot about that.
That doesn't matter.
Listen, I do find the 90s really interesting because the run of films I enjoyed least that were movies based on TV shows. You get this is one of them. Mission Impossible was one. Untouchables, which was late 80s, was another good one. So there was some good TV stuff being turned into movies in and around that time. Not something that we see much happening anymore. But maybe, who knows? Those were
most
older
likely
TV
the other
shows.
way now.
It is. You're true. It'll be interesting though, because like some of those shows were off the air for like 20 years. So it'd be interesting to see like in 10 or 15 years, which shows that went off the air, like would a show like Lost be turned into a movie franchise? Would some of these other things that were pop culture major TV shows like The Fugitive was? I mean, The Fugitive, the final episode of The Fugitive was one of the top, if not number one, like top 2 viewed television shows in history for a while. And MASH surpassed it. So, I mean, this was a show, not that we watched, but I mean, our parents and things like that would have been into that show. And the idea of who Richard Kimball was and the idea that he actually got the one-armed man at the end was a huge deal. I thought they did, as a self-contained one-off movie, did a nice job of giving it some stakes. In terms of what was going on with it, though.
If you're going to hire real cops to play cops in your movie, don't have them speaking roles.
Yeah, don't let them talk.
Now, here's the thing. Those guys were complete fucking morons as characters.
Maybe it was an accurate.
Yeah, like now I'm like, are those guys? Are they really?
I didn't realize they were real cops,
dude. If they're not real cops, how did they get on screen?
Yeah,
because they were fucking brutal.
To be fair, because in The Wire they used some real cops, and the cops could act. They turned out to be real.
Yeah, but they don't give them much to do.
Well, that is, you know what? I'll give you that.
This is right up there with Die Hard, with the local police, like, and. What the Fed? It's like almost the reverse, right? But in Die Hard, it's the feds that get blown up in the helicopter, and they're trying to shoot everybody. It's the reverse. It's the local police trying to kill everybody and be awful.
There's a character that we've seen play a cop in a few shows and movies that when we finally looked it up, it was like, oh yeah, he was a real cop, and then he became an actor. I mean, this is gonna itch at my brain.
Well, we did know that the commander in Beverly Hills Cop was the real chief, the chief.
Yes.
And he was amazing.
Yes. No, maybe I think that's exactly what I was thinking of.
He was.
These two like Irish, good old boy Chicago beat cops are just complete fucking assholes in this movie. And that's the perspective of the filmmaker, not me. Like, there is not any punches held on how awful local PD is in this movie.
Yeah, true story. Okay.
Yeah.
The Fugitive.
The Fugitive.
You should see it.
You should. Oh, interesting. But I just wanted to quickly share this trivia. Somebody shared it with us right before we went on the air. The train itself from that sequence, from the movie, is still in place. They filmed it in North Carolina, the whole movie, and they never removed the train. So you could apparently go visit the train if you're wherever they filmed it in North Carolina.
Can you get in the bus, Brian, and I'll pull you out?
They charge money.
That would be awesome. And the dam is there as well that you can go see.
Yeah. Awesome.
That's it. Hey, really enjoyable. It's a fun movie to watch, and it is on HBO Max, so you can watch it. All right, time for Game of the Week.
Did you do this, Katie? You ready?
I have it written down.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Game of the Week. This week's Game of the Week is Recast It. We're asking our challenge of the day to recast the film. We want you to recast Richard Kimball. We want you to recast Gerard, and we want you to recast the one-armed man who didn't get any talk in this film. No talk actually about the one-armed man in this movie, but that's okay. Yeah. Okay, who wants to go first?
I'm going first.
All right, go.
I had to flip this and make it all women because that's how I do. So Dr. Richard Kimball, we're going to take riding on the coattails of The Watchmen and her Emmy victories, Regina King as Dr. Richard Kimball.
So good.
Husband will be Marshala Ali. I always mess up his first name.
Marshala.
Yeah, everybody messes up.
He's awesome. Don't worry. You're okay. Go with it.
But he gets killed. Yeah.
Think about the chemistry, though, between the two of them.
Yeah.
Hotness.
He's awesome.
That's some hotness right there. Then the one-armed man is going to be Brienne of Tarth. Brienne of Tarth. Gwendolyn Christie.
She's gigantic.
Like it.
She's gigantic.
She is very tall.
I want to see
that
the
makes
fight
sense
scene
that
between
Regina King would not
King,
be able to take her. Yeah.
Because Brienne is giant.
That came up during my... I had an issue with size there.
You got to think about that.
Because Kimball's got to survive that.
Absolutely.
Fight.
That's right. Okay.
And then Gerard, our marshal, will be played by the excellent Juliana Margulies, who I really enjoy and I think would be
good.
great in that role.
He is really good.
Yeah, she could be. She could be good.
Yeah, very good. All right, Jim. What do you got?
I stuck with males.
Okay,
but I think I like that. I want to see this movie.
Thank you.
I have no, not yours. Mine.
Oh, I thought mine was very good.
I mean,
I think if it was being complimentary
if it was a double
I should
feature,
have known better.
if it was a double feature, I would see both.
Now I feel foolish.
For Richard Kimball, I have Idris.
Of course,
because he just looks like he could be a doctor. He can do
anything.
Right.
He has that gray beard at points.
Yeah, he's very professional. He's Luther. He has the professor,
and he does have that like skilled surgeon. But also good heart sort of thing going on. Sexy.
For Gerard, I have Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, I could see that. A little like, okay. I like the line read, kind of a little bit of the Deadpool character you could bring into it.
What's the one? No, is it Fast and the Furious where he's more of like the...
No, that you're thinking of Hobbs and Shaw.
Hobbs and Shaw, yeah. He's, but I was thinking more of like, Smoking Aces or, whatever.
All right, love it.
The one-armed man, again, this person needs to win a somewhat frantic fight against Idris, which is not going to be easy with one arm. I'm going with Vince Vaughn as the one-armed man. I was thinking,
I could see of him. He's kind of like I like that actually.
Yeah, I needed to think of someone who was big, but also could play like a rundown
cop,
broken
is what he
cop.
was. Yeah, I could see that.
And then as the shitty best friend doctor,
that guy was such a
RDJ.
Really?
Yes.
He was sleazy. I can see that.
You wouldn't want to see him be sleazy?
No.
He was sleazy. You just love that Alex Finch RDJ.
No, you love Tony Stark.
Reincarnated man. It might have been I had too much to drink while I was watching this film, because I was like, what if the Muppets were in this? What if we did a
that's a good idea
version of...
I love like the Muppets Treasure Island or the Muppets like the recasting of the Muppets is great.
This is a little bit dark for the Muppets.
I disagree. I think it'd be great.
Treasure Island's not dark.
So I think, of course, my favorite Muppet of all has to be Dr. Richard Kimball. And that is Fozzie Bear.
Oh, my God.
There is no person that could play Marshall Gerard other than Sam the Eagle.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
And then as the one-armed man, there cannot be a Muppet feature without Animal as the one-armed.
But the Joe Pants character has to be the shrimp.
Oh, I love the shrimp.
What's his name? I don't even know.
Fred,
isn't
it?
He has a Frenchie.
Freddie, I think.
Frenchie, because he has the French accent.
How about the Jane Lynch?
How about Jane Lynch and Neil Flynn from Scrubs, the janitor?
I know. Great. It's a great group.
And I think they actually use that clip in Scrubs as like a joke, like in one of the later seasons. Okay. They talk about his appearance on in The Fugitive or something. Like they're watching The Fugitive and they're like,
he's
what?
In there.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
And a very young Julianne Moore.
Yep.
Yes.
Who is great as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's Recast It. Muppets, feel free. Disney Plus. Muppets recasting. Let's make it happen.
Oh, dude. The Muppets do 7? Yes.
Oh. I love
Beaker
that.
as the Kevin Spacey character.
Is Avenue Q. Whole new level.
Beaker as the Kevin Spacey character. Come on.
I absolutely love that idea.
Yeah.
I'm completely down for that.
Yeah.
We'll get financing for that.
Gonzo is as Brad Pitt.
I'm disturbed.
Okay. I think it's great.
Drank that way too fast.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's super.
That's burning.
The barrel proof is
200%.
I could
it's 123 proof
fire right now.
So it's 60% alcohol.
Okay, time for 5 questions. Here we go.
You want answers?
I forgot to tell Brian that I heard this song.
Mr. Lebowski.
No, you told me.
What the fuck is the internet? Would you? Why?
So this song that I cut up with the movie clips is actually like a free song you can use. It's no licensing. There's an actual commercial on YouTube right now that uses that song, and I was like, "What is this?"
I know people are probably surprised that we're not commissioning highly paid
Brene
artists
Brown
to do
is commissioning artists for her podcast
to do our sound beds, but we are using free.
I would love to commission someone. I just can't afford to pay them.
Yeah.
All right,
agreed.
Brian, you ready?
Here we go.
Brian's
Yes.
answering today. Thumbs up or thumbs down on the Chicago dog?
Okay. Well, this was a spoiler. I kind of foreshadowed my love of hot dogs earlier in the episode. I guess I'm thumbs up on it. There's not everything on a Chicago dog that I would eat, but if it is a hot dog, I will eat it. As evident of the fact that there was a period of about 3 straight weeks in junior year of college where Jim and I ate off the hot dog roller at the University of Scranton.
I certainly did not eat off that hot dog roller.
You absolutely did get hot dogs as well off that hot dog roller.
You have certainly eaten off of hot dog rollers.
It's been a while, but yes.
Yeah, well, he's talking about college.
No, but like that, I remember being kind of grossed out by that hot dog thing.
You were eating those hot dogs.
All right, Jim, tell us what a Chicago style
Okay, so a Chicago style hot dog to me is disgusting.
Yep.
And I'll tell you why. It's topped with yellow mustard.
Gross.
Love it.
Chopped white onions.
Gross. Oh, God.
I'm in
It's
on
in my
it.
mouth.
Bright green sweet pickle relish.
You see, I would not be. That's where I'm out on it, kind of a little bit.
A dill pickle spear.
I'll take that.
Absolutely.
I'll take the dill pickle.
Tomato slices or wedges.
Okay.
Yeah, I could deal with that.
Sure.
That would be
And then
alright
it
with
says
that.
pickled sport peppers. Celery salt is important.
Okay.
And it has to be on a poppy seed roll.
I'm in for a lot of that, except the I'm not a big pickle relish person. I don't know what the other thing was.
I hate pretty much everything about this.
Yep.
If I'm having a hot dog, I want it to be an all beef. That's good. That's a deal breaker. If it's not like all beef,
okay,
I'm gonna think it's not good. Mustard on a roll. That's it.
Now, here's an interesting little tidbit that Wikipedia has that I didn't know, is that the hot dog arrived in Chicago through Frankfurt from Vienna, and they've been known to be a Frankfurt food since the 13th century.
Frankfurters, remember they're also known as. Also, just to delve into a little Chicago history, it was Chicago, of course, was the home of basically just slaughterhouses everywhere. They were the slaughterhouse of the country.
5. Read that in high school. Never ate a hot dog again.
Everywhere. A little book, Upton Sinclair's The Jungle.
Yep.
Read
sorry.
that one
I said
before your...
I was like, Slaughterhouse 5 is not about that.
No,
read that one before your summer barbecue and see how you do.
It's one of the only books I remember reading in high school, actually.
Yeah, because it's so disgusting.
Very memorable.
It doesn't go away.
Very memorable. All right. Question number 2.
Would you rather survive a train derailment or a plunge off a dam?
I hate heights. So how injured am I from the train derailment?
As injured as Richard was.
I feel like you're okay. I feel like inside of a train car,
do that.
you have a much better chance than jumping off of a dam.
He was completely fine after jumping off the dam.
Yeah, I doubt that.
Well,
he would have. That was death.
That's
first off
going to die.
He would not have been able to clear the concrete. So like, whatever.
Nope.
Listen, I completely bought that because high school students in the 80s were doing that jump at Action Park.
There you go. And most of them lived.
Most lived.
Only a few of them
You should never be the second person to die in a wave pool.
They didn't have to airlift. They only had to airlift out 2 to 3 people a week from Action Park.
All right.
I will say this. One of the favorite lines from this movie is when Tommy Lee Jones said, he just did a Peter Pan off the...
I love
off the edge.
Love Tommy Lee Jones in this.
And then they say "holy shit" like 8 times, don't they?
I know,
Holy
but it's
shit.
PG-13. It was cool.
It's great.
It's cool.
The best so this is our fill in the blank question.
Yes.
The best non-franchise Harrison Ford movie is blank.
This one's tough because my choice is kind of split, but unfortunately it is a franchise now. I would have my first choice would have been Blade Runner 2049.
That's not a franchise.
You don't think it is? Because there's two of them. So I kind of eliminated. I would have
like
said maybe
30 years apart. I
know. So I would say those, but I'm going to pull those apart just because somebody might say that they're a connected universe. I would probably go with The Fugitive is my most watchable one. Though there are two others that I really enjoy.
Air Force One.
What? Oh, Air Force One is good. But it's not Air Force One. I love Working Girl with Melanie Griffith, Sigourney, but he's more of a supporting player kind of in that one. And also, if you haven't seen it, Presumed Innocent, which is based on a Scott Turow novel, is a really good movie. But I think The Fugitive, if I had to pick a non-franchise, and we're not counting Blade Runner because there's two of them, I would go with The Fugitive.
I think when I was writing this, I thought, I don't really like Harrison Ford at all. I love Indiana Jones. I love Han Solo, and I hate Harrison Ford.
I hate his little earring.
I don't like him in pretty much anything else.
Wow.
Witness is excellent. And
Witness is a good movie.
I remember really liking the one time I watched What Lies Beneath.
That's a good movie. That's kind of an underrated movie, too. Yeah. But again, I feel so much of that is Michelle Pfeiffer that makes that movie.
Is it Michelle Pfeiffer in that movie?
It is Michelle Pfeiffer, yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Number 4, our favorite movie. What is your favorite prison movie?
Okay, so the obvious choice for people for prison movies is Shawshank Redemption, right? Not going there. Not going to go there.
Yeah.
I have 3 selections to watch if you're interested in a prison film.
Of course you do.
First is a little 1994 film starring one Mr. Ray Liotta, No Escape. A futuristic account of a military and with Ernie Hudson. Very underrated film. I also love the Burt Reynolds 1974 football prison movie, The Longest Yard. Do not like the Adam Sandler remake. And another one from 2001, which is a really kind of a truly tremendous movie. It's called The Last Castle.
Yep.
And it has Robert Redford, James Gandolfini, and Mark Ruffalo. And it is awesome.
That is a great movie. Yeah.
It's a great, amazing movie if you've never seen it, The Last Castle.
All right. Awesome. And number 5, deep thoughts. If you were on the run from the U.S. Marshals, which friend would you ask for help and why?
Well, we've established on this show, I basically have 2 friends, which is Jim and Jerry. So I'm fucked.
Well, let's just say
I'm completely fucked either way.
Which person would you ask for help and why?
I would ask my godparents because they're super rich and they could get me out of the country.
There you go. You have to know your resources.
You need to know which people would bend their morals to help you, Brian.
Right. Well, money is what gets you through.
I guess.
And, you know, or I'm trying to think of people I know outside of the country. Let's be obviously clear. I would last no more than 35 seconds as a fugitive in any way, shape. And 35 may be generous by 30 seconds. So I wouldn't have made it out of that.
He knows a dozen languages. He will blend in.
He's surprisingly
he will disappear.
Fast. He's very fast.
With any luck, he already has the Grail by now.
He would jump down the sewer.
I would not even go into a sewer. I can tell you that right now. I would have surrendered.
A big sewer, like a big giant sewer, and you didn't even have to get wet.
When they look into the sewer, that was a moment where I was like, "Would he really fit in that? That feels very
That was
small."
Like Georgie going down there from it.
That is a very tiny opening.
But there is, in all purposes, there are some actually pretty cool prison movies out there if people are interested.
Yeah, and then you get into like the prisoner of war movies, like Great Escape. I thought, could you consider that a prison movie?
We have a commenter giving us a few suggestions.
The Green Mile.
Yep.
Yeah.
What about what's the Alcatraz one? The Rock?
The Rock.
Well, yeah, but I don't consider that. That's a movie set at
the Birdman and
Birdman Escape from Alcatraz is a great one. Yeah, there's some great prison movies out there, actually. All right, and that is 5 questions.
All right.
Before we go, we had some very sad news. If you follow us on social media, we unfortunately last week, just a truly amazing person passed away. You know, someone who's family to people on the show, friend, just great person. For those of you who just listen to the show and maybe don't know us as well, you will have gotten to know him through our Few Good Men episode, and that was Josh Fulmer, who passed away tragically last week, and we're absolutely heartbroken by that.
He was an amazing guy. And you can just listen to that episode to get a little piece of what he brought to this world.
I love that in that episode, he talks about all of the things that were most important to him. And so you hear about his love for his mother and her love of L.A. Law, his love for his wife, Emily, who is another one of our favorite guests.
Yes.
So it's a great remembrance of Mr. Joshua Fulmer, our solicitor.
Yeah.
Yes. So we've shared on social media. If you have a chance and you follow us, there's a GoFundMe that you can follow. But for us, we were trying to figure out what we could do. And, you know, I always, when we have guests, make notes of movies that they talk about in love so that we can have them back on. And, you know, it was on my list for next year to have him back to do Scent of a Woman, which, along with Few Good Men, which he loved, was the movie that helped inspire him to become a lawyer, where he did such amazing work in his life. So next week, we will be doing Scent of a Woman.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to raise our glass.
Raise a glass to Josh.
Raise a glass to Josh. Friends
Cheers.
at home. Cheers, Josh Fulmer.
Cheers.
Rest well.
And we will see you next week to talk Scent of a Woman.
Bye, commenters.
Bye, everybody.